I don't remember my father's face. He passed away from illness when I was very young. After that, my mom raised me on her own. She struggled to take care of my brother, who is 10 years younger than me. We were poor, barely managing to live. So, I gave up on going to high school and started working at a local factory after middle school. I had secretly worked part-time during middle school, so I wasn't opposed to working. But honestly, it was tough seeing my peers go to high school in their uniforms. I worked hard to earn money for living expenses and my brother Paul's education. I was diligent, never late or absent from work. My boss often praised me for my attitude. It's really encouraging to see a young person like you never being late and working so hard. You might feel unwell sometimes, right? But still, you don't come in late or miss a day. It's not easy to work steadily every day like that. No, well, I don't have a father, and with my mom and brother at home, I feel I need to work hard. That's admirable. Well done. As years passed, I was trusted with more important tasks. I enjoyed it, but gradually I wanted to do bigger jobs and studied while working. I didn't want to lose to those with college degrees. And before I knew it, I reached the age of adulthood. One day, I received a message about a class reunion from the middle school class rep. Middle school, that brings back memories. I generally liked my middle school classmates. But there was one person I just couldn't get along with. His name was Bob, and his family ran a business, making them pretty wealthy locally. In middle school, Bob constantly made fun of me for being poor and raised by a single mother. He'd ruin the gym bag my mom made or tear up the notebooks she'd bought for me. Although my classmates didn't like Bob either, no one really stood up to him because his family had a lot of influence. I was no different, always being bullied and never tried to fight back. When I felt out of place in the classroom, I'd head to the rarely visited library. As there is common talk about young people drifting away from printed books, our school library was always empty. Maybe it's because you can easily download ebooks now, but I've always loved the unique smell of paper and getting lost in a story. I mostly read mystery novels, which helped me forget the hardships of my life. Opening the library door, I'd be greeted by a quiet room filled with natural light from the windows. I loved that space. One day, while engrossed in a mystery novel after school, someone spoke to me from behind. Turning around, I saw a slightly plump girl with black hair. "Hello." "Whoa, you scared me." "Oh, it's just you, Lisa." She was a classmate, from a wealthy family, and academically gifted. She also didn't have many friends, but still not as much as me. Her family was strict and didn't allow her to have a cell phone, which isolated her from the other girls. Bob, the bully, often made fun of her for various reasons. But Lisa, always calm, would just brush it off nonchalantly. "You're in the library committee, right, Lisa?" "Yay, that's right. Sorry for startling you, I didn't mean to intrude." She showed her tongue playfully. "Don't worry, you're not bothering me. You're organizing books, right? Hey, you can't reach the top shelf, can you? Want me to put the books back for you?" No, it's okay. Really." Seeing her struggle to reach while standing on tiptoes, I went behind her, took the book from her hand, and placed it on the top shelf. "See, it's easy when I do it." "Thank you." Lisa blushed. Lisa sometimes turned red like this, and it became a reason for Bob and the others to tease her. Somehow, I felt an affinity with her, as she was also harassed by Bob. She continued trying to reach the top shelf, stretching herself. I took the book from her again and slid it into the top shelf. Then, Lisa bowed to me and said, "Thank you." "No problem, you're welcome." It's rare to be thanked by a classmate, so it made me kind of happy. Lisa, looking a bit shy, suddenly offered me a book. "Here, if you like, give this a read. It's my recommendation. Just came in, so it's still new and clean." Lisa smiled warmly. It was the mystery book I had been curious about. "Huh? Lisa, you like mysteries too?" "Yeah," surprised. Let me know what you think when you're done. Then, I got a stamp on my library card at the counter. During my boring middle school days, the only noteworthy episode was my interaction with Lisa. As we talked more in the library, I realized she also felt left out in the classroom. Two outcasts in the class, perhaps just licking each other's wounds. But still, every time I met her in the library during breaks or after school, my heart felt healed. I wonder how everyone is doing. It's been a while. Wanting to see my classmates again, I decided to attend the reunion. I was also faintly hoping Lisa would be there. On the day of the reunion, when I arrived at the venue, everyone was already there. Seeing me, they said, "Were you at work? Thanks for coming." That's when it happened. I was spotted by the person I never wanted to see. Bob saw me and remarked, "You still look poor. How old is that hoodie?" Pointing at my slightly pilled hoodie. Bob, on the other hand, was wearing a brand-made suit and a fancy watch. The reunion I had been looking forward to turned sour with his arrival. I chose a seat far from Bob to avoid him. Then, a woman next to me offered, "Beer, anyone?" I turned, saying, Thanks," and then, oh, in surprise, there was Lisa. Lisa hadn't changed much since I last saw her years ago. After middle school, she went to a private school, while I started working in a factory, so we hadn't met since. She greeted me with a polite smile, "Long time no see." I awkwardly replied, "Long time no see." We then enjoyed chatting with classmates while sipping drinks. Then Bob came over, being drunk. "What are you up to now?" he asked, so I told him I was still working in a factory. Bob started laughing crudely, as expected. "You and I live in different worlds," he scoffed. Then he began bragging about himself. He was attending a prestigious private university and planning to take over his father's company. His company was doing well, even starting new branches. Many of our classmates had gone to well-known universities. Although some worked right after high school, I was the only one who didn't graduate. Thinking this, Bob drunkenly jeered, "Hey, you're the only dropout here, right?" I felt annoyed but knew it was pointless to respond. I didn't retort. Bored with my dull reaction, Bob left after his show-off. After he left, Lisa, who had been silent, muttered, "He really hasn't changed. Such an unpleasant guy." "Jer, people don't change that easily," I responded, exasperated. Then Lisa laughed, covering her mouth and saying, "That's right." Seeing Lisa laugh innocently, I felt my heart skip a beat. From then on, I spent most of the time talking with her. I hadn't thought much of her in middle school, but now, talking to her felt strangely comforting. After the reunion, Lisa and I kept in touch. She attended one of America's top universities and dreamed of starting her own business. Interestingly, Lisa's father also ran a company, which used to be smaller than Bob's but have grown significantly thanks to his efforts. Since then, we started not only keeping in touch but also meeting frequently. Gradually, we were naturally drawn to each other, and I confessed my feelings, which led to us dating. Our dates were often in parks, and we didn't spend much money. I thought she was being considerate of my financial situation, but it turned out Lisa herself wasn't interested in lavish meals or luxury goods. I think that modesty is one of her best qualities. Years passed, and Lisa graduated from college. We were still going strong as a couple. After graduating, Lisa joined her father's company. She worked hard every day, despite being busy. Then, one day, she made a surprising proposal. "My dad really wants to bring you into the company. What do you think?" Lisa's father, President Nelson, knew I was self-studying business management and wanted to work in a bigger company, so he offered me a position. Also, he was impressed by my record of no tardiness or absences since middle school. Apparently, Lisa's company had trouble retaining new employees, who often started with enthusiasm but later missed work for trivial reasons. I immediately accepted Lisa's invitation. I felt sorry for leaving my old job, but my former boss encouraged me, saying, "Go for it if that's what you want. We're all rooting for you." Soon, I joined President Nelson's company as a new employee, working alongside Lisa. Their office work was different from the factory, and initially, I made many mistakes. But my colleagues, all kind people, patiently taught me. About a year later, as I was getting used to the job, an unexpected person visited the company. "I'm here from Apt Rating. Thank you for your having us." "Wait, Bob." It was a classmate from middle school. "Why are you here?" Bob exclaimed, forgetting the presence of the president. He seemed to know the company was run by Lisa's father, but didn't expect me to work there. Bob looked worn, and his suit was slightly shabby. It seems that Bob has visited this company to negotiate a deal. Bob had been entrusted with the negotiations by his father, the president of his own company. President Nelson coldly told him, "Who are you to address my employee that way?" The staff gave Bob disapproving looks. As if Bob thought it was a bad idea, he immediately said, "I apologize for what I've said. We were old friends," and bowed his head, but President Nelson frowned. President Nelson knew about Bob's past disdain towards me, probably told by Lisa. Despite this, he had invited Bob for his persistence in business outreach, willing to do business if he sensed sincerity. I guess he wanted to separate his work and personal feelings. But Bob's blunder led to him being quickly dismissed. "Excuse me," Bob said as he left. After he left, President Nelson muttered, completely out of place, making Lisa and me burst into laughter. Later, I heard a rumor that Bob didn't become president, replaced by a more competent employee, leading to his fallout with his father and quitting his job. Frustrated by the situation, Bob broke off relations with his father and started working at a different company. However, he couldn't stand working under someone else and quit soon after. I don't know the details about his life after that, but it didn't seem like he was living well. Hearing this story made me feel relieved. As for Lisa and me, we continued our relationship smoothly. When we had been together for exactly 5 years, I finally proposed to her. Though I couldn't afford an expensive ring since I was still supporting my family and my brother's education, Lisa teared up and said thank you, holding my hand and saying, "Let's be happy together." Many people blessed our marriage, including my mother, brother, and everyone from the factory I used to work at. I was filled with gratitude. President Nelson told me, "I want to ask you to continue to take care of Lisa," which made me feel tense. Thus, we submitted our marriage registration and became husband and wife. We're now preparing to start a business together. We plan to create a space like a library filled with our favorite mystery novels. I expect we'll face many challenges ahead, but I'm sure we can overcome them together with Lisa. I vowed in my heart to be happy with my beloved Lisa.